In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
You think we can get away with just like
No, the answer is no.
poorly toned humming for like an hour and 12-minute podcast?
Yeah, I mean, no one governs us. We are simply ungovernable. So
That's like, there was some band that made like a Spotify like playlist that was like an album and they called it Sleepify, and it was just like several hours of just dead silence. And so they just like told all their fans like, hey, just play this and then we'll get money from Spotify to like fund our next tour. And it worked. They made like tens of thousands of dollars.
okay.
And then like I think they got in trouble with Spotify. Like they're not do that anymore. It's a whole thing.
That reminded me, the band Sonic Youth.
Sure, yeah.
So they had an album that was completely just feedback. Like the entire album was instrument feedback. So I mean, that's
Interesting.
along that vein.
Yeah, well, along that vein, or the opposite, really, because that sounds like it's miserable and terrible. Ooh,
I'm back on that Miller Lite shit, man.
he's on the he's millering his light.
I'm hydrating.
I am actually hydrating. We're back. I'm back in seltzer territory this week.
Oh, watch
And
out.
we just the Polar. It's a new flavor, pink apple and lemon. It's no Remy LaCroix brand. But
No.
it'll get the job done. The hell was I talking about? Oh, I think I was trying to do an intro. And really, let's just cut to it.
This is the scenic route to the intro,
Yes.
folks.
If you've just bothered to actually like look at the title of this week's podcast, you might have a sense on what we're going to talk about today, which is
it's a good one.
so roughly like nearly 2 years ago,
yeah,
or just over 2 years ago, something. Call it 700 days ago. We did an episode of a grudge match, Honda versus Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
And what if we did the same episode over again?
Yes.
Except with like the suit and tie wearing parts of both of those brands.
Oh,
Lexus versus Acura, a grudge match.
no, it's a good one, dude.
Two makes enter. Two. Well, they're still both around, so I don't want to say one exits. Although, really, like I don't know, is Acura gonna exit this world forever? Like I don't know if they're that healthy of a brand.
Yeah, I mean, if Japanese luxury, I think Infiniti's the barely makes it category, right? I think Acura and Lexus for sure are the champs, and hence the grudge match for today.
Yeah,
Which I'm excited about, actually.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because they both started roughly around the same time. Acura was first to market.
Mm-hmm.
Lexus was behind by
3 years.
What, 4 years, right? Because technically, couldn't you get an? Oh, you're right, because you could get an 80. Could you get? No, it was 90 the first year for Lexus.
I think they sold them in 89 was when they started selling.
Was it just the ES 250?
The LS 400. LS 400 was the first guy.
I think they were all 90 model years. I don't think they did an 89 model year.
No,
I think
they sold them in the year 89 though.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Because the first Acura was 86 was the first year.
Yeah, Integra.
Three calendar years between them. But yeah, what a first punch for who would have thought Acura? Who would have thunk it? Looking back.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's so it was two different tactics, right? And with Acura, they took more of the tactic of let's be first to market doing this and kind of rebadge some of the other stuff we were already selling overseas. And that's not to say Lexus didn't do that, right? I mean, an SC is a soarer, and the ES 250 and 300 are
Camry,
fancy pants Camrys, especially the 250. The 250 was like
straight
very clearly a Camry. But then they took all the time and money in the world and developed the LS,
right?
Which was kind of a showstopper. Really set but they took the extra time to do that. Versus Lexus, they didn't, right? I mean, or sorry, Acura didn't,
right.
So two different approaches, but they were both very successful for quite some time.
Hmm. You nailed it, man. That was my first category was like opening salvo. Who landed the hardest blow? And obviously, first to market, Acura with the Legend and Integra, two cars that I think are extremely cool. I don't think
Hmm.
the Legend has the legs that the Integra nameplate does, but a good start, right? You have your larger vehicle. It could be sedan or coupe, right?
Hmm.
But the Integra was a really cool, like economy-minded, sporty car, which was kind of what Japan would become famous for in the 80s and 90s, right? So it kind of
Right.
set that trend, and it was definitely first to market. And then, like you said, Lexus was like, "Hey, look at this S-Class fighting uh, behemoth called the LS that
Sure.
just killed right from the gate." And then, of course, the ES 250, which you said is a Camry. That's their bread and butter car, right? When they come out. So who won? Who won the first exchange, Frank? I mean, because
Boy, I don't know. It's and let's say the first exchange. Let's what draw the line at like. I mean, first exchange, just the straight up first models.
yeah, let's look at what's I mean, let's just call it out as it is. Let's go
Yeah,
Integra and Legend versus LS 400 and ES 250. Who wins? Who had the better offering?
I mean, I think it boils down to. I mean, the worst out of that is I think inarguably the ES 250,
Mm.
which I've got a weird soft spot for that car, but it's not a great car.
Hmm.
Followed by, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to put Legend in the third place bracket, Integra in the second place bracket, LS 400 in the first place bracket. And I think it's LS 400, and it kind of isn't close.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a
And
huge gap there.
yeah, I mean, it was just how impactful that car was and still is in the marketplace. It's Lexus, I think, won the early game,
Hmm.
but it was, it's interesting because you also had some intermediate stuff, right? We had the Vigor from Acura.
Sure.
You had the GS 300, which is a fair bit bigger than a Vigor.
Hmm.
Um, it's like the next kind of middle tier, and it's just interesting to look at. And really, yeah, I think it always boils back down to just how good the LS was.
Yeah. You got to give him the points there, right? That was the big success story. Interesting that you mentioned the Vigor, though. I love that car, man. You get it with a manual, five-cylinder motor. The GS 300, pretty damn cool too. Pretty unique looking for a larger sedan,
Mhm.
and cool instrumentation. I thought it looked like a 80s watch, kind of. Pretty interesting. Lexus did do the watch instrumentation quite a bit. The GS also inline six, kind of an interesting engine for the brand. They went to V6s. That 3.5, I think they put in everything for the past 20 years. So they embraced V6s, but those inline sixes were super stout. The IS 300 was probably one of their most famous offerings with that motor, which
Yeah,
is
yep.
a
The venerable
2G.
2JZ,
Yep.
yeah.
2JC. But so that's interesting. The Vigor, yeah, the Vigor and the GS 300, kind of a fun comparison. Legend is
And
super cool though. I do like me a Legend Coupe manual. I think that's a very cool car.
yeah,
Aged incredibly well, but I don't think they were successful enough to hold a any kind of competition with an LS 400, which is an absolutely iconic car.
let me know your feelings here. When whenever I'm driving an early Acura product,
Hmm.
it very, very, very much feels like a Honda. And I don't mean that as a knock, right? Like 80s and 90s Hondas are largely excellent.
Hmm.
And but that's what, like, if you're in a first generation Integra or a first gen Legend, it feels like you're in a Honda. All the touch points, everything, the materials. Yeah, it might have some leather, but and maybe some more power. But largely, if it feels like a Honda product through and through. When you're in a Lexus, I don't. It feels like a much nicer thing than a Toyota. Like all of the way the gauges are kind of lit, and the big chunk, like the door shut feels like
Mm.
you're closing a bank vault versus, if you close the door on a Camry, on a Tercel, like maybe not counting the ES 250, but like on an LS or an SC, it's a much higher end feeling thing.
I mean, that's a good question, man. I'm famously devoid of how I feel, like emotion. So I don't know if I'm
I'm dead
qualified to
inside.
answer
So.
your question, man. But yeah, that is something, right? Like thinking about that. And that might be a time period thing too, because those early Acuras did come out in the 80s when Japanese cars were definitely lower build quality, at least material wise, maybe not reliability. Although the early 80s was a little rough. But boy, you're right. I think the delta between a Toyota and Lexus product is not as small as a Honda and Acura. When I think that Honda Acura delta is quite small, actually. And I think it still kind of is, right? Compared to
Kind
Toyota and
of.
Lexus. I think, well, it's hard to say because
Do you know anyone that has actually any seat time in like an Acura product from the last 3 or 4 years?
the only thing I can even think of is the new Integra, which is pretty liked, and then obviously the I don't know, maybe an MDX. I don't know. Right? Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair call out, but
Ooh, how about this quick, semi-related pop quiz? I'm going to look it up. Try and name the 2025 Acura lineup.
oh, this is hard. I can try it. I'm ready for it, man. You ready? You got it up? Tell me when you got it
We
up.
have. Let's see.
Because I'm ready for this. I got this.
Oh,
Actually.
okay. I see what it's doing here. Their website is kind of clunky. Let's
Do you
see.
want me to do?
There are. Okay, just go. There
Okay.
are. There's 5 offerings.
5. Okay, we got Integra.
Yep.
Do they even have another car? That's a good question. RDX is still around.
There is an RDX.
MDX is still around.
We still have the MDX. Of course, we have the MDX.
The NSX kicked it, I think, last year or the year before was the last model year.
Yeah,
So that's not on there.
Yeah.
God, I thought I'd be better at this. There's isn't there a TLX?
There's a TLX.
Yes.
That's the only other sedan.
One more left. Acura. It's going to be some kind of fucking SUV thing.
It calls itself a premium all-electric SUV, starting at $64,500.
Is it a Chevy?
Boy,
It's
I would not be surprised.
Yeah,
I honestly
Honda
don't know.
only has a Chevy.
I don't know. Do you know what this potential Chevrolet product is?
What's it begin with? What's the name begin with? What letter?
Well, that gives it away. Z.
It's I don't fucking know. It's a Chevy Blazer EV.
It is
Final
a
answer.
The ZDX.
Yeah, that's right. It's a Chevy Blazer.
ZDX.
It's gotta be.
I think it is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Dude, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
Come on,
not
man.
bad. Yeah, only the one that was like the original ZDX is a car that was like so preposterously unloved. I think it's one day it will come back around. It'll be like it'll be its era's.
It'll be cool
Aztec.
again.
Street Aztec.
That's cool, man. Yeah, the ones that mattered, I named. The ones that are actually built by Honda Acura.
Yes. Do we want to play the same? We're going off the rails here, but do we want to do the same game with Lexus? Can you do the Lexus lineup?
I don't know if I. Well,
or do you want to quiz me? Or do you want
to
do you want to quiz me on? The
Are you
Lexus
looking
lineup?
at it?
No, I'm not. I haven't typed it in yet.
I've got it open in front of me. Let me get it up.
Yeah, heard that before.
Give it. Just takes a little more of a stroking before she gets poking. Go ahead and start, and I'll pull it up.
Boy, I'm not great at new cars. Okay. If we're calling it the 2025 lineup, I think that's the last year of the RC. So I think this is the swan song for the Lexus RC. We still have the LC.
Mm-hmm.
We still have the IS.
Of course.
The GS is long gone, but we do still have the LS, of course.
Starting with sedans, folks.
The ES. God, it's such a bigger lineup at all. I'm five.
Oh, it's way bigger.
In.
Yeah.
And okay.
Go to SUVs.
Hold on. Are there any other? Oh, there are. Well, it's an SUV. The UX, right? The UX 300. Is an H there, or it's either or? I don't know.
Yeah, you can get regular and hybrid, I believe. Yeah.
I get the regular. I don't know. Okay, so UDX, we have the NX.
Mm-hmm.
We have the RX, of course.
Of course.
There's the TX, which is the new.
That's the big sedan. Yep. Electric style.
Not sedan though.
No, you're definitely an SUV.
Yeah, SUV.
That's the big boy. That's not the small crossover.
Yeah,
one.
it's like the Grand Highlander rebadge. They have what's the dumb one? The really dumb one, the BZ4X rebadge. God, what do they call that stupid thing?
It has a much better name than that.
It's just a something X. So we do have that. We do still have the GX, and we do still have the LX.
Yep, that's the RZ you were thinking of.
The RZ, yes.
Yep.
Okay, that's 12. Are there more?
That's it. There's variants, of course.
Sure.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Very
yeah.
nice.
What I've already forgotten. It's the what X?
ZX.
It's the ZX.
ZX.
That's dumb.
Or RZ. Sorry, RZ.
RZ. Okay.
Now I've forgotten.
Does it stand for range?
Vehicle.
Does it stand for range 0 because they have like an uncompetitively small battery?
It's so bad.
The RZ stands for
bladder.
Yeah.
Old man talk. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Range 0.
Let's have another category in the matchup here.
Yeah. What are we doing?
We did opening salvo. I thought that was a pretty good way to look at this fight. How about best supercar offering? Let's just put it all on the table.
Yeah.
Who did it better? Acura, and I don't think I need to say this, but let's say it. Acura with the NSX, and we can go. Let's go.
Which one?
Oh boy, both can be contenders in this competition. Lexus has a little thing called the LFA. I don't know. V10 revs to the moon and back. Sounds better than anything.
I mean,
go.
What is gosh? This is maybe the most difficult out of all of this, right?
This is
because
tough.
I think in a vacuum, it's very easy to be like, well, yeah, of course the LFA, like,
sure,
it sounds like,
Everything.
Zeus at climax, or it's got the digital this and the that, and they're so rare and they're worth over $1 million, but like the original NSX throughout its entire 13-year reign. It was certainly a more impactful thing.
Yeah.
In the world of the automobile, they sold clearly they sold way more of them, and I don't view that as a knock. Like people, this one's so rare, it's so exclusive. It's like, that just means less people got to enjoy a very cool thing, and so I don't view that as a negative. I view that as a positive. And I think it's a very close thing. They're two very different machines. I think I have to go the original NSX. I think I have to do it. And that's kind of I'm much more of a Toyota Lexus fanboy than a Honda Acura fanboy, but I just think that car was so much more important. Kind of going back to the LS, right? The LS was so damn important.
Right.
The RSX was so important compared to the LFA, which was cool at all, but like it ultimately was a commercial flop.
Sure, but yeah,
fucking cool.
Yeah, it is fucking cool. Agreed. Disclaimer, of course, not that we need to tell our listeners this. We are not qualified to objectively or subjectively review any of these cars. But to be fair, Acura NSX original, absolutely the most impact, probably from any car made by that company. Absolute, more than a flagship, right? That thing was absolutely a force of nature. Maybe not a sales success because they really weren't at first for a while. Now they're incredibly valuable and they're fantastic cars. But the serious question to ask yourself, Frank, and I'm going to give it to the original NSX, much like you did for the same reasons.
Sure.
You get offered one of these, whether it be absolutely mint condition original NSX, a modern NSX, or an LFA. What are you picking? And why is it the LFA?
Here's the thing. If it's me today, here's the keys. Have fun, and that's the end of the conversation.
Yep.
I'm probably going NSX because I can actually afford to keep it and insure it and feed it and house it and maintain it. And I'm not convinced I can do that with an LFA. Also, like, I feel like I can settle in with an NSX
Yeah, it's
and
a
like
completely
and
livable
you
car.
and use the bejesus out of it
Right.
and like take it on a road and drive it hard and not feel like I'm going to commit suicide. I don't know that I can do that in an LFA. I suppose, but
See,
like, didn't a test engineer commit suicide in one of those things on like even like whatever it is, Fuji circuit or whatever? And I don't know. Like, I don't think they're necessarily like a widowmaker, but
no,
I
no.
don't. I'd be paranoid about like, oh, oops, I cracked a wheel and it costs a fifth of the value of my home to put a replacement wheel on it, and I don't know. I feel like I can get a very very nice NSX and not feel like I have to keep it in bubble wrap,
I mean, that's
and that
fair.
has appeal.
That's very rational of you. But the idea of a free LFA, a car I'll probably never even get to drive, is kind of compelling. And that
Yeah,
price point, my friend, I will drive it like a complete fucking lunatic and have a blast. You know, honestly, you could just you wait to shift to red line driving safe speeds in first gear, and it would still sound so good. I think it would be that rewarding. I'm with you. The Acura NSX is a sweet car. Been there. It's a really livable car for as far as supercars are concerned. But man,
right.
there's something special about that LFA. I get it in the brightest, most obnoxious yellow, and I don't shift under 9,000 RPM ever. So,
So I just looked up production numbers.
Mhm.
Um, they made how many NSXs total? Just
God,
NA1 and
I
NA2
always fail.
on
I always
facelift.
fail at this.
Just guess.
There's, I mean, it ran from 90 to '02, right? '02 or '03 was last year,
No, they did
model
go to
year.
'05
That is right. '05. So we
because they
got 15
facelifted it.
years.
They facelifted it in
'02.
'01, I think. '02.
'02. Yep, with the
Yeah.
fixed headlights. And then there was the Target in '95.
Yep.
Boo- I don't know, man. I always suck at this. They made 25,000 NSXs.
So they made roughly 8,900.
Holy shit. Well, that was better than my last time, I guess, the production
Right.
numbers.
How many LFAs? How many LFAs did they make?
799.
500
Okay.
globally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exceptionally rare car.
Yeah, and 64 of those were the Nürburgring edition, which is like
Mm.
the fancy pants one.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, I mean exclusivity, that's a thing, but like I just
Ooh, it's special. It's a
Karen.
special fucking car.
Oh,
I
it
don't I
really,
don't
really,
actually
really is.
think they're that all that. I mean, compared to some stuff that's out there,
Yeah,
I guarantee it. Like it has a pretty good. I mean, you're not going to put mileage on that thing, to be honest, right? But just
that'd be
the
boss if you did though.
yeah. But you want to talk about feeling special every time you get in a car? Oof,
Yeah,
oof.
yeah. That's the thing though. It's just like everyone always bitches about the transmission, and I don't. I'd have to like I don't know. Like
I
there's so many cars like I would just give up power and some of that stuff for a manual transmission, but also like LFA. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's
I,
not the fastest car, right? Like there's plenty of stuff faster. I mean, it's a naturally aspirated, high revving 10 cylinder. It sounds so good. I don't know. I like how they look a lot too. I really think it's a cool looking car. You know what I love is the engineering behind it. I think it's like geniusly engineered. I think it looks so cool, and it's got a Lexus badge on it, and they'll never make anything like that again. I think it's just too special. I would absolutely. That's probably one of my dream cars. If I could ever own
yeah,
anything, I have to say it's an LFA.
I would say the only problem, not the only problem, but the main problem with the LFA is if you want to ball out on a budget, the LC 500, it's certainly not the same thing,
Very nice
but
car.
it gets you closer to that than you think.
Sure.
Engine sounds spectacular,
Mm-hmm.
very special, high build quality. Looks, I don't want to say the same, but like you can argue that
Nah.
it looks nearly as special.
Right.
Um, some would say it looks better.
Mm.
Um, and I don't know. Like, well, what
Oh, I
about
know. The
yeah,
LFA. LFA all day.
sure. I don't know. I'll have to get more seat time in an LFA.
Can,
Then
can
I can
we?
report back.
Can we please?
Yes, yes, we'll have to make that happen. Dear listener, if you have an LFA, um, carry your pigeon to us here at the pod, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, we'll definitely not wrap it around a telephone pole.
Well, how about real quick? How about excluding What about like affordable sports
Oh,
offerings between the two?
well, what are you thinking, man? What comes to mind?
I mean, what's interesting is I think from a sports car, like sporting aspect,
Mm-hmm.
Acura does a better job, right? You've got the Integra GSR and Type R's,
Yeah, sure. Yep.
and now the Type S.
Yep.
Versus Lexus, you've got mostly like GT car stuff, right?
Yeah, like SC 300 and 400.
SC300 with a manual. I mean, you can do IS300 with a manual with
Yeah,
a
I think that's
5-speed,
it. I think that's it, actually.
right? And then you have
That's
like
the pick.
ISF.
Different
But
animal,
that's a very
right?
different.
That's like
Yeah,
an M3 fighter. Yeah, very
yeah,
different.
or like yeah. Um, what do you like there between those?
You're right. I don't think Lexus has a dog in that fight. Like you said, I think Acura runs all over that. Plus Acura did the RSX, which is another Integra, but still a cool car, the RSX Type S.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah. Acura did the small sport thing. I mean, you had does anything really compete with the Integra? I mean, an Integra Type R. I mean, that's an absolute fantastic, iconic
Yeah.
sports car. And
Yeah,
Lexus
far
had nothing
fizzier,
like that.
far fizzier than
Oh, anything Lexus put
an
out.
SC300s are like they're pretty plodding. Like they're not particularly athletic.
You nailed
They're cool.
it. GT
Yeah.
leaning for sure.
Yeah,
The
and then
IS300 was pretty spry though. Pretty cool little
yeah,
car.
but that was more like I think you can maybe consider it like an E36 M3 competitor that showed up really late to the party.
Yeah,
But
that's
even
like
then, it wasn't as aggressive. It wasn't as hard edged. It was heavier.
it's a TSX fighter for sure. I think a TSX matches up better against an IS300.
Maybe
Yeah.
IS, and like IS350 and ISF.
Mm.
But yeah, those are different animals. I think just for like, and kind of back to the roots, right? Where in that era, in that 80s and 90s, like Hondas were always the more playful car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, even if not the most powerful compared to Toyota, right? Because you had the Supra and you had some others, or Lexus, I should say.
Right.
But like, yeah,
Well, Toyota had the Celica. That would have been the Integra fighter, right?
yeah, that
So-
would have been, and even then,
Ooh.
outside of a couple
What
of
if-
all tracks, it was not really competitive.
Yeah. What if they
Honda
Lexified a Celica? That could have been kind of neat.
Yeah,
That could have been kind of fucking neat.
yeah, like a proto RC, like
Oof.
and you brought over just like one of the beams motors, so it was doing like 200 horse.
Yeah, something special, high revving.
Yeah.
With a manual.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Toyota.
Someone- Missed your shot, Lexus. You missed it.
Damn it.
That
Yeah,
would've been
it's
nice.
that would have been something, huh?
Yeah, they didn't get there.
No,
yeah,
didn't.
that's kind of a Lexus didn't have a dog in that one for sure. But
I was gonna say, you know what one is not even close?
what's that?
SUV.
Yeah, I actually broke it down. I did crossover and I did
Okay.
off-roader. And this is my off-roader one's kind of fun because you think Acura, they had plenty of big SUVs. You got the MDX, you got the RDX, which is a small crossover, which was actually super fun. I mentioned that in my other one. But I'm going to go with the SLX.
The Trooper.
The Trooper, the Isuzu Trooper second generation, which was probably Acura's most off-road capable vehicle, right? Can you think of a more
Probably-
capable?
Probably ever.
Ever.
Which is bonkers, but sure, yeah.
So I love that. And you guys know me, I'm a Trooper file. But second gen Trooper, and they really didn't even do anything to change it. It's seriously got a slightly different grille with an Acura badge on it. The interiors look the same. Everything looks the goddamn same as a second gen Trooper. Meanwhile, Lexus badges adorned GXs and LXs, which are incredibly capable off-roaders. Land Cruiser Prado, respectively. So, I mean, that's another no contest, right? I think Lexus kills in the off-road department.
Yeah.
Straight murder, dude. Straight murder.
For sure. And that's just like they have a lot more to draw from as far as resources to build off of, right? Like they've got the Prado line, they've got the Land Cruiser line, and that's basically what they built that off of. I think the more compelling argument is the crossover side of things.
That's the bread earning segment, right? For these guys. This is where they push
Yeah,
their pennies.
especially now. I mean, maybe not, in the early 90s, but in the early 2000s and until
100%.
today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who do you pick?
RX
Who's the best?
RX,
Yeah.
I was going to say from the beginnings, the early ages of the
Mm,
RX 300, the first RX 300,
the bubble butt.
the original MDX.
Oh. Or do you go
Um,
RDX?
well, the RDX is an interesting beast. I've
Mm,
always had
it
a
is.
soft spot for one, and I don't know why. I always thought it'd be fun to get one and lower it and just like crank the
Mm.
boost.
Yeah,
So you're
you're
doing
talking
like
the RDX Turbo SH all-wheel drive. Yep.
yeah. Which by all accounts was not, I mean, it was not a terribly successful car. I like the size of it.
Wasn't the
I
fuel
think the
economy like
styling
twelve
that
mpgs
was
or
part of
something?
it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah. It was just all wheel drive and heavy. And the turbocharging of the time was like a different
Hmm.
thing than today, where you're EcoBoost and all this other stuff, where it's like a much more emissions and fuel economy minded turbocharging platform.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I think they got like 12 miles a gallon. That's part of the reason why they didn't really sell as much as they could have.
I did have a call out for the RDX though. Like, think
Yeah.
of now common turbo Hondas are everywhere. The Civic Type R, the Sport, everything's got a turbo, right? The
Yeah.
Accord. Uh, but back then, Honda didn't run turbos. That was a weird situation to have a turbo in a Honda badge car. I know Acura, but to be honest, like I always thought that was so neat about the RDX turbo. What else was
Yeah.
running a turbo, man? What else was running a turbo from Honda at the time?
Kind of nothing. But you know what was actually a remarkably similar car?
What's that?
That's completely forgotten. When was the last time
Oh,
you saw a Mazda CX-7?
boy, those were horrible.
I mean, they were kind of cool. You can get
The
that burnt
CX-7 and the
orange,
9. Yeah. The burnt orange, you know what? I can't get
the two
behind
three
Mazda's
turbo.
styling at that time because they tried to make everything look like the RX-8, the first gen RX-8, the early
Yeah.
models. That's all they did. So they all had the weird bubbly fender flares. They all had that weird look. Even the Mazda 6, which was very handsome before, took a step back for that generation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
God, those
they're
CX-7s
very
were
weird.
horribly unreliable, I believe.
I was gonna say they were everywhere, and then I don't think I've
Nowhere.
seen one on. Yeah, I don't think I've seen one on the road in 5 to 6 years.
I mean, there's your answer, right? I think they were everywhere, and then 2 years later, they were nowhere.
Was it transmissions?
I think it
Is
was
that what ate those up?
transmissions. Yeah,
Because it
because
had
they
the same 2.3
two
turbo
three
that was
turbo.
in.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, dang CX7, but no, the R. I do like the RDX
Yeah.
for reasons unknown. But I do like between the OGs though, the RX 300 and the MDX. Which are you putting in your stable?
I mean, the RX, like hands down, like they
Yeah.
were that was the crossover kickoff, right? Like popularity and crossovers really kicked off when the RX was brought to market. And then now I remember a stat. I just reviewed an RX like a couple years ago, a modern one,
Mhm.
and it represents 40% of all Lexuses sold.
Yeah.
The fucking RX. So I mean, it just tells you where the market is and how impactful the RX has been and still continues to be.
Yeah, and I think it would be because they're both pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I do that, like materials are fairly comparable between the two. They all have like, kind of like tech influenced center
Sure.
console situations where on the MDXs you've got, like a little like diagram showing where the HVAC is going, similar to like on your Stealth that you had.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you had the center kind of touch screen, like the low tech-ish touch screen available on either one of them in the middle. But those MDXs, they just devoured transmissions, like all those Hondas.
Yeah,
and
the new
Acuras
ones are
used
good. Like the new
yeah.
Type S A spec, I could get behind. I could definitely rock that as a family vehicle. I think they look good. They've got lots of power. They're really nice inside. Like Acura's always been there, man. They've always had really nice touches. They've always felt more sporty than luxury
Sure.
to me. I've like the TSX was the same thing. It was definitely more of a sports sedan than a luxury sedan. But yeah, dude, the new MDX is pretty good. But the RX, of course, still the segment leader, as they always will be. So I got to give the RX the win in that one.
Yeah, I think so. and what's interesting is I feel like even today, like I feel like the MDX is the more of the sporting
Yep,
offering
exactly.
compared to the RX. So yeah, I think it is on the early ones RXs,
Hmm.
and honestly, maybe even today. I don't
Yeah.
know because they do make an MDX S type, right, or Type
Yeah.
S.
Yeah. Type S with an A spec package. It looks pretty gnarly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Hmm.
nice. They're both nice.
Hmm.
And now the RX is the twin turbo motor, I think. So I don't even think because they retired that 3.5. So
Right. Yeah, and then you can get like the plug-in hybrid one that has way more power than it should. It's
sorry, I
like the
think the RX
RX
is a turbo
500H.
4. The twin turbo 6 is what replaced the V8s in the bigger cars, like the
Yeah,
GX and
I think
stuff.
you can still get. I don't know. I'm not really up
Yeah,
on my.
it's different. It's
It's
different now.
it's all different, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what do you think overall to kind of try and put a capstone on it? Unless you have any other
Nope. I broke
categorical.
I broke down my numbers. I scored it 3-1 on the categories of opening salvo, supercars, crossovers, and off-roaders. 3-1 in favor of Lexus is how my
Yeah.
scorecard went.
What's interesting is we can like in a couple of years,
Mm,
I can see a world where Lexus is the only
wow.
premier Japanese brand sold in America,
Mm,
right? Unless Mazda continues to move upstream and then they become one. But I can see Acura gone, Infiniti gone. Uh,
that's
that's kind of it.
that's
Like
it.
I don't. Yeah, and if you want to go upstream from that, you got to hop over to South Korea and you got to get yourself a Genesis or the like.
Right.
So, which
Mm.
is a shame. I want Acura to be around. I'd like them to still be.
Yeah. Here's hoping. I mean, the Integra is kind of fun. I could see owning an Integra Type S and then having a
Yeah,
family MDX Type S too. That'd be kind of cool. A little Type S action in the driveway. But yeah, Lexus is not going anywhere. Lexus is doing quite well. So as they've been steamrolling for a while.
and part of it makes me wonder if they used that as we talked right off the rip here, where Acura had the first mover advantage.
Hmm.
They launched the premium Japanese brand in America first,
Right.
and they did that by kind of rebadging and re-engineering a lot of what they already had in other markets. Versus Lexus took the second mover advantage and took their time and put an enormous amount of R&D in building that LS 400
Yeah.
along with the UZFE motor that powered it,
Cool.
and an advertising campaign and building a very like well known to be excellent dealer
Oh,
market and
yeah.
make it the dealer experience a really impressive thing as
Which
compared to say an Acura dealership.
Which I was just telling that story today about how they had the recall and they actually went to the customers' homes, picked up the cars, took the
Yeah.
cars. It just that's what you named it, and like the LS was something truly special. And I think you're right. That was it. They slammed their schlong on the table and they never stopped.
Yes.
It just got older and schlongier, but
And
its
yes, yeah,
presence was
no
still felt.
shrinkage. And
Absolutely.
but I do think that doing that and making that initial investment, like over the last 10 years, it's really paid dividends to where
Oh,
they've come out of it far better off than Acura did. And I
mhm.
think that ties all the way back to that very beginning inception of how they purposely built out that brand.
Yep.
And hold on,
Whew.
isn't Lexus, it's like a contraction, right?
Is
It's
it? I
like,
thought it was just a word
yeah,
they found to be interesting. I thought it doesn't mean anything. I think they
I thought
just
it
got
was
a
like
bunch
luxury
of,
executive United States or something
no,
like
I
that.
think
Might be.
it's like found on road dead, for it.
Sure.
I think it's
Yeah.
just a bunch of people got together and that's the word that came up, right? I heard they had a bunch of people come over to the States. There were some were really nice and they kind of just, that makes sense. Let's use that word.
Okay. The Google delivers. Um, let's see. Theories. So nobody knows.
Oh God,
Apparently
here we go.
there's no
Theory,
thing.
we got
But
theory
there are
crafting.
theories. Is it theories that it's a combination of the words luxury and elegance.
Yeah.
And that it's an acronym for Luxury Exports United States. So yeah, I had heard that at one. I've heard that a couple of times over the years. But yeah,
Lexus naming
I
was an
think you're
inside
right.
job.
Right, Lexus. Yeah, Mr. President, a second MDX
Wait,
hit the
that's
Lexus.
Acura. You can't do
I
that.
know they're attacking.
Oh God.
It's a grudge match. Um, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Alu RDX. Anyways, um, now that that is out of the way, yes, Lexus stand victorious.
yep, they
And
take
while
it.
we do that, I'm going to dig up some quizziture literature
Oh, good.
if you want to tell the good people at home what the hell we're up to.
Well, hello everybody. It's time for our automotive print ad quiz game. It's a fun little game we've been playing since episode 1. I think we started this thing. So Frank is going to read a magazine article. It's an advertisement for a vehicle. This is interesting. He's going to omit anything that gives it away, but he's going to read that ad to me. I have to figure out what the hell Frank's talking about. I have 3 guesses to get there. This can be a car from the 80s, 90s, mid 2000s, mid aughts, if you will. If I fail, if I guess wrong, he can give me a hint. He usually doesn't. He's really a jerk, guys. He's this is some weird kind of
Suck
dominatrix
it.
performance that Frank does to me to exert his will over me. But anyway,
Mhm.
I'm gonna get there. Play along at home. Punch your windscreen, your steering wheel, whatever. When you're frustrated about me missing this, but
The nearest child.
yeah, absolutely. They'll get over it. They heal much quicker than us.
Mhm.
So don't hold back. Um, so don't tell us if you do that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
please.
I'm ready, Frank.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage.
Okay, we have a one pager here.
That's all I deserve.
And this one is I like this ad because if you know the tech specs aren't great,
Oh,
but
great.
if you know
Always.
if you know the advertising campaign, and I think you do, then you'll it's a layup.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a one
I
pager.
am ready.
We got the picture of the car like ripping through a turn and at a Dutch angle, and it's like close up of the passenger side, and it's turning it silver in color. And then at the top, it's got some words, and that the title says, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" Tight curves may punish lesser cars, but the blank begs for more. Wide, muscular, and low to the ground, it moves with purpose. With wide track handling, the blank moves through the curves with military precision. Gas
That's not a thing.
charged struts. Hey, no, that just means it was just like engineered and put together by the absolute lowest bidder.
Right.
Anti-lock brakes provide. Hold on, no, I'm skipping ahead. Gas charged struts and aluminum steering knuckles make it well equipped for the most strenuous maneuvers. Anti-lock brakes provide backup in critical situations, and enhanced traction control follows orders to the letter, no matter how difficult the conditions. So report to blank.com/wide track on the double for the complete wide track handling experience of the blank. That's an order. The wide track blank. Wider is better.
Horrible.
Do you remember this advertising campaign, right?
If you think I wouldn't remember the ad campaign of the most plastic cladded car maker of all time, now I need to figure out what vehicle we're talking about. That's the challenge. So,
Sure.
sir, how dare you? First off, insult me. It's a Pontiac. So no really tech specs. You were right about that. They said wide track about 20 times.
Oh, I did forget that at the very bottom there's like some fine print.
Okay.
Optional OnStar system includes 1 year safety and security contract. Call 1-800-OnStar-7, which we will call when we're done here, for
It's
for
porn.
system limitations.
It's fucking porn. It's always porn, especially Pontiac. It's got to be porn.
Yeah, there's a very awful, terrible, deleted from this earth acronym for Pontiac that might fetishize the porn number that we call. We'll see.
Okay, so let me think about what I got for information here. So Pontiac, OnStar. So we're gotta be late 90s at the absolute earliest. I think was OnStar action. Man, no, it'd be better to call in the number is just pressing an OnStar button right now. from one of these cars.
That could be should calling the number be a hint? Like it'll tell it. Maybe it will tell us more information.
No, this has got to be wide track would have been. I think it was in this car. I think this was the only. I think they only talked about it on one model. So I'm just wondering if you have a specific trim on this ad or not. I don't think you do, because there were trims and they would have mentioned like the engine.
Yeah, it doesn't mention trim.
So this is just the regular,
just the vehicle,
the vanilla. Sir, let me see.
Although there is on the photo, there's a badge. I see there's a badge on the lower front part of the front door.
Is it a badge right after the front fender? Yeah, and then it has 3 letters.
You can barely make it out. It doesn't mention it anywhere in the script, in the type copy.
I don't know if you know me, but I love Pontiacs from this era. This is going to be a final answer coming right up at you. Let's say Pontiac Grand Prix, and this is going to be 2002. Or 2002 is when they had this new style, this cool
final
style.
Answer?
Wide track. Yes, 2002 Pontiac Grand Prix. Final answer.
The wide track Grand Prix. Wider is better, and it is 2001.
Okay, gotcha.
So you are right fucking there,
dude.
And I do think you're right. I do think
a GXP.
The wider is better.
It's a GXP badge. Is that it?
You can't make it out. It's just like a blob. But you and I both know it is.
Yeah,
right?
You're goddamn right it is.
Because when did it go GTP? Or was it GTP at this point? I don't remember. 2001?
No, I think there were GXPs.
2001 Grand Prix. It was GTP.
Okay, so that's the supercharged 3800.
GTP, 240 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque.
Supercharged 3800.
Yep.
I think these things look so good. There's like a whole bunch of different variants too. I think there's a pace car version. There's all kinds of good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's cool. Let me get you a link so you can see, you can pick up what I'm putting down.
Let's see. Is it in red? They should be.
No, it's silver.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
It's silver
right here. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so now, of course, we must call the phone number.
Yeah, GTP.
And see what happens. Speaker.
It's going to be porn, guys.
Thank you for calling OnStar. Para Español, marque
Holy
el
shit.
número 9.
We've got OnStar, baby.
My 2001
This call may be
Pontiac
recorded
Grand Prix
for
has gone off
quality
the road.
purposes. For life-threatening emergency services, press the star key now.
Let's go to jail. Let's go to jail.
For emergency,
Go to jail.
roadside
To
assistance,
jail.
door unlocks or stolen vehicle,
Conjugal.
missing person,
Conjugal.
press 1. For
Let's see.
service plan maintenance, including purchase data plans or to renew your service plan,
Maybe.
billing, and cancellation inquiries, press 2. For technical assistance, including
Okay, it's still a
smart
live
driver,
number. We
press
can't
3.
fuck with it.
Oh, 3.
You are calling for information about
I need to figure out. I need technical information.
or website inquiries, including setting up online accounts,
Ooh.
mobile app, or family link. Please visit your owner's
I'm going to push
center
0.
at-
Let's just talk to a person.
Please hold while I transfer
Oh.
you to an advisor.
Oh, okay. Not to go full jerky boys, but
Hello. Frank Rizzo.
Thank you for being a valued OnStar.
oh,
Thank you for calling OnStar. This is Matt. Can you hear me?
yeah. Hi. Hello. I would just quick question. I just purchased myself a 2001 Pontiac Grand Prix GTP. It's quite nice. It's silver. And I was curious. It appears though it has OnStar. What is that something that I can still activate from to I can use in the vehicle or no?
2001 Pontiac. Okay, let me look into this real quick.
Sure.
And you have here a phone number that ends with 6214. That's also your callback number, just in case.
Yeah, sure. We'll air that out there. Yeah.
Okay. So look into this for the Pontiac that you have.
The
So
Pontiac.
apparently this one has already been impacted by network change. So it means that the hardware of the Pontiac is no longer capable of
Unsafe
Okay.
at any speed.
not be able to do it anymore.
All right. Well, you know what? I very much appreciate the information and the efforts, and I will just have to go live my best Pontiac life without the lovely features that are included with OnStar. Thank you so much.
You're very much welcome. You can give us a call if needed, and be safe, okay? Have a good evening.
Yes, you do the same. Thank you much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Do you think we could just call him directly if we get into trouble with our Pontiac Grand Prix?
Maybe I should have actually gotten his personal phone number. So if I end up in some sort of just unsavory personal situation, I can call him.
Look,
and
the supercharged 3800 understeer kicked in. I'm wrapped around a guardrail. Come help me.
That's the first time we've called a phone number and it's been functional.
Look at that, man.
And like very functional. It's 8:15 Pacific Standard Time when we're recording this in the evening. And our friend picked up and told us about the Pontiac. So but sadly, it's no longer supported.
Here's where it takes a dark twist. The supervisor calls you back. I'm so sorry. We had to let him go. He's been telling no to Pontiac owners all night.
It's a yes. Pontiac is back, baby. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, powered by OnStar. Look at that. Well, sir, you know what? To celebrate your victory, and the existence of OnStar is a potentially still a thing. Imagine that. Like, what do you do? I work for OnStar. What?
That's pretty damn cool.
I mean, it's cool. It's like
still a thing, man.
It's like saying you're an operator for like AT&T or.
So I feel like, not to go too tangent land on OnStar, but I think it's more like active than it used to be. It used to be reactive, like you have to push a button, it puts you through to like a call center. Now I think it's like, we have detected that you've been in an accident. We have detected that it's 300 degrees in the cabin of your vehicle. You are on fire. I think they actively call you now, and they can do all kinds of cool stuff, which is neat.
We heard your conversation, and we've predicted you're being an asshole. Yeah.
We can tell your Chevy Cruze automatic transmission has failed. Please stand by.
Yeah. We can tell you are cheating on your spouse. God damn it. Fucking OnStar.
Based on the suspension telemetry, it is a much larger partner.
You have contracted gonorrhea from your side piece. Contacting OnStar and your wife immediately. The babysitter has been warned of your transgressions.
What a conversation that would be.
Yes. Thank you, OnStar. On that note, yes, we should celebrate the continuous existence of OnStar and your flawless victory with some PCP, which is Project Car Progress.
We have to state that now. Yeah, legally.
We do. What you get anything done?
Little things. I did an oil change on the CT. Let's keep the theme alive for CT maintenance. Did the water pump. Now we've got a new oil change under the hood. So pretty straightforward with those things. If you've ever done one. I'm sorry. Why am I saying CT? GX oil change, my friend. The CT I just did not too long ago. Right. Which is, I don't know if I told you about the last time I did that. Remember someone over torqued the fucking oil filter housing?
Yeah.
So I broke that. And then the new one I put on still worked fine for the last oil change. So that was fine. The GX oil change. So GX needs 6.5 quarts of delicious 5W30 oil. And it's a regular twist-on filter. So super easy oil change. I love those so much better. I hate dealing...
Cartridge.
Dude, the cartridge stuff sucks. Like, I still have a 32 millimeter from doing all the Saab ones because that's what they got. And of course, what else are you going to use the 32 millimeter socket for? So yeah, that's a big thing. So did the oil change, the maintenance reminder light was blinking and now it's solid. So I'm like, man, I better get on this. So got in there. I do it every 5,000 miles. That's just how I do my oil changes. Dude, they're 150K. This is a '07 GX. So it's older, but it's pretty low mileage considering most of them are like over 200K. Not a drop of anything anywhere under that goddamn truck. They just
so good.
These things, man, they're just incredible. This was a one-owner vehicle, all maintained at Lexus, and they cared about it. So no surprise there. But yeah, not bone dry. We're talking about a nearly 20-year-old vehicle. So nice, clean oil change. Reset the maintenance reminder light. Back on the road. That's all you do with these things, man.
Yeah, well, that's funny because that's my wife's daily. It's an '07 Highlander hybrid. The high, if you're in the know.
You know.
And same deal. She's got one. I think we've got like 120, almost 123 on it. It was one owner before I got it. Came through car donation. Needed tires, but like, yeah, it was well maintained, and it's dusty under the engine bay, but that's it. Like, there's
Yeah.
not a hint of seeping around any gasket, and it's been utterly flawless. Which
Maintenance,
is
it's basic maintenance, man. Everybody asks, right? Oh, what's the secret of keeping a car on the road? I'm like, just do your damn maintenance and
Yeah.
don't wait till
And catch
things
shit
break.
early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
preventive maintenance. Don't if you know what's coming up, just fix it. Fix it
Yeah.
now before it leaves you somewhere.
Oh, that axle boot is like split. Like, okay, let me if you're not going to do your own work, that's fine, but like, okay, like between now and the next tank of gas or two, like, let me schedule this in, and let me save up my my pennies, and get it done before all of a sudden it just falls apart, or, oh, there's a weird new noise, let me address that. But it's tough, right? Like, I understand people don't always have the money to do that,
Sure.
but I would rather have an older vehicle, like an '07 Toyota or Lexus product,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to afford to maintain it and keep it nice, versus the car payment on the 6-year-old car that's got you know Apple CarPlay, but I can't afford to maintain it, and
Sure.
interest rate on a depreciating asset. So, um,
I mean that
yeah,
it's very topical because lately my wife saw an XC90, which is a very good looking vehicle. Like no questions to be asked about that.
I like those.
Uh,
I like those.
they're so cool, and they've looked the same for a while, but they nailed it in 2016, and that's what put Volvo back on the map. But anyway, I digress. We started looking in the reliability aspects of it. It's like when you own a GX, you cannot do. I told her, I'm like, look at this. You can't just pretend we don't have a GX. Pretend that isn't the best engine that Toyota and Lexus ever made. Pretend that we don't do anything for maintenance except for basic stuff, and nothing ever breaks. It never will leave us stranded. Don't think about that. And still, she's like, I don't know, because the XC has issues, right? Like it's a very complicated power plant,
What
supercharging,
year is it again?
turbocharging. We're looking at like 2022, so it's
Oh,
supercharged,
it's pretty new.
turbocharged, and you can get a hybrid. So it's like three things all together, right?
Yeah.
And they are pretty good. You're right. But still, toe to toe with the GX, not even close, right? Very, very
Yeah,
different.
I do like, you know, honestly, any Volvo product from the last 15 years.
So
But
good. So
those
good.
XC90s are rad. Like, they're classy. They are very good, but that powertrain would keep me up at night
Yeah.
unless I'm well into a very good warranty. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know that that's a car I want to have at 150,000 miles like the GX. I don't
No,
know.
I don't think it'll see it. And they depreciate like rocks, dude. Like 2022, you're still looking with low mileage, like and good maintenance history. You're still looking at like mid 40s, and you can go back
Mhm.
and get like a 2017 for mid 20s. So someone's going to eat that depreciation curve as you buy the newer one. So that's kind of a turnoff, you know.
Yeah. So I remember, so at the time when we bought the Highlander for my wife, I got it for $9,500,
Mm.
and it had like 100, and maybe it had just under 100.
Mm.
Had like 99,000 or just around 100,000 on it.
Go drive that damn thing, man. Come
And that
on.
was like her commute now, the last couple of years, has been under a mile in each direction.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So it's been great. But at the time it was just like, okay, like, we were also looking about, like, because her commute at the time was like 15 miles in each direction, which isn't
Mhm.
much.
No, not too bad.
But we would also, like, I was always the person had the dumb car. And so we would always take her car whenever we're going anywhere as a family. It's like, we'll take her car. So she wanted something nice. And so at the time, this was like during the COVID bubble,
Mm.
she wanted like a plug-in hybrid or like an EV, which is fine, but all the prices on that stuff were insane. And the only thing that you can get without markups was, like, at the time, like a Polestar 2.
Sure. Yeah.
And that was like, even that was like 70 something. I was like, oof. Like,
Mm.
it's just so hard for me to stomach something like that. But like, looking around, and I was like, you know what? For now, the market's
Mhm.
weird. You couldn't even order stuff because it was like, oh, like an Ionic 5, but like they all had like 30K ADM on top, and you had to like
Yeah, it was
You
tough.
couldn't order it. You couldn't even pick one. It's like one would show up, and if you were on a wait list, it's like, hey, we have it. It's this color. Do you want it?
Mm.
And so it's like we're just not playing that game. It's like, oh, let's get this Highland because it immediately needed tires, and we put a backup camera and a stereo in it, like a modern stereo with CarPlay and stuff. So it was like
Nice.
all in after tax and everything, it was like 12 and a half compared to 75.
Yeah, right.
And now that Polestar 2, you can get all day for like 30. Like
Isn't that funny?
for like
Isn't that
30.
funny?
It's already lost almost 50K. And then you would have had to pay sales tax on 70 something $1,000 too.
Oh,
so,
hell yeah, you would have.
yeah. So it's lost over 50 grand in the 3 years. And I promise you, this Highlander, it's probably worth roughly what we're in it now, right?
Yep.
It's probably lost $0 in value.
Yeah. Same with the GX. Those things just kind of hold their value.
Yeah. And like, it's plenty nice. It's a
Yeah.
limited. It's got the new stereo in it. That was the thing. Like, well, why don't we just like, we'll put some new tech in it, like basic ass new tech, and we'll call it a day. And it's been great. It's been flawless.
Heck yeah.
And yeah, way to go. What progress have I made? I took your advice.
Oh,
for
did
once.
you now?
Yes, I started wiping. No,
that did not come from me.
yeah. Let's just kidding. I still haven't started doing that. No, the I have sitting in a box. That's as far as I've gotten. Granted, sitting in a box, a new ASIN water pump for the CT200H. So I've got that. I've got the right like Toyota pink coolant.
Yep.
And yeah, or is it red? Whatever.
It's pink.
Red.
It's pink.
It is pink.
Pinkish.
Pinkish. So I have it. It is here. It was like it was like $200.
Yeah,
for
that's
the water
about
pump.
right. Yep.
From Rock Auto. Use that. Just Google up a 5% coupon code to basically
of course
cover my shipping. And yeah, so I've got that. So I'm gonna do that. Maybe sometime this week.
It's the easiest water pump job you've ever done. It's so damn easy, dude.
Yeah. So I should do it. But I have like all kinds of other shit that I need to do as well. So that, what else I need to do is, so the bumper where it meets the fender on that side is like torn a little bit. Like it was always scraped, and it's over time, it's kind of worked itself loose. And so now it's popped itself loose with the fender liner. And if I'm backing out with the wheel cut all the way to the right and I'm backing, the wheel will rub on that fender liner. And so now it's worn a hole in the fender liner. I'm like, God damn it. So I got to like order a fender liner and stuff it in there and new clips and all that. So that's another thing too, because it's like, it's one thing if it's like, oh, there's a scrape and like there's a curb rash and the clear coat's falling off it. That's fine. But like,
bro,
I don't want to back over my own fender liner and tear the bumper off as I'm just like leaving.
It's not a good look.
Dropping the kid off in the morning. Like I can't have it like self-destroying, like disassembling itself on the highway. Like I can't do that.
Give your daily a spa day. Do the water pump. Do the hybrid fan battery. You can knock that out too, and take care of that fender. Just all in one day, baby.
Yeah, it's needed. I do need to make time. But that was the first step. I was like, okay, I've got this thing. So when I like, if I blink and it's like, oh, I've got like a few hours in this afternoon, I can just knock this out. That I can do that. So yeah, that's in the cards. Otherwise, I was poking around. I might stuff it in this garage tomorrow. The 87 Accord. Because I do want to at least troubleshoot and go through my checklist of things that I know we talked about semi recently.
Yeah, just last time.
As far as all my reasoning why I think it's running as rich as it is, and at least flush the coolant. I'd like to do what's tricky is like I'd like to do the coolant flush and do all of that. And then like make sure it's right. But then if it seems like it's running right and like the head gasket isn't immediately going to self-destruct, then I'm like, do I do timing belt water pump? But now I just put all fresh coolant in it. I'm like, which I can like whatever.
Catch it, reuse it.
Yeah,
It'll be
I
fine.
suppose. Although
Yeah.
I don't, I'm gonna have to flush this radiator. I think like 1,100 times.
Oh,
But
that's
just,
right. The
it's just
water.
what I assume is tap.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see.
100% tap
It's just
water.
been sitting. It hasn't been running. So like maybe galvanic corrosion isn't really doing its thing because it's just sitting. It's not like cycling between aluminum and iron block and aluminum head and aluminum radiator. It's like
I
not
don't know,
cycling.
man. You just set a piece of metal in some tap water in a bowl or something. It tends to rust still. So
Oh, for sure. No,
it's
it's
not
gonna be.
perfect.
It's not gonna be good.
It's gonna be poop colored for sure.
So we'll see. But I do think, yeah, maybe as early as I don't know, sometime soon. It will be in this garage because I'd like to figure out what I'm going to do with it, and if I can within a week figure out if it's like a viable thing, or I just need to like punt it down the road and sell it for $1,500 to try and recoup my time and
take your poke at it because you'll beat yourself up if you don't actually look into it. So just back it in the garage. That's the first step. But let's shut this down, man. We're running late.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'll take us home here. So guys, thanks again for listening. A very long and drawn out PCP episode, but we're doing things. Hey, at least we're reporting that we're touching cars. We went quite a few months there without. So we're doing better things. We're staying close to our our genre, automotive. So that's a plus. But guys, thanks again for listening. Again, feel free to rate, review, leave comments. We do appreciate that. That helps us stand out and helps draw in more fine listeners such as yourselves. I guess that's what we can call you. We also do have a compendium on the YouTube. So you can check us out. We can be present for visual representation and subscribe there. We're actually getting comments. We're actually getting views on there. So join the cool kids and do such. Frank, where can the good folks follow your personal endeavors?
Oh boy, Megan's Law for one,
OnStar for two,
OnStar, yes, powered by OnStar. Technology and stuff. No, just I am in the middle of kind of doing a little bit of like a re-up and a rebrand and trying to post more of my car photography stuff because that's my job now, full time. So follow me. That's at the Photographer's Garage on all of the things. Not yet on Blue Sky. That's what the kids are doing these days.
Oh, okay.
We can get over there. Maybe J-Date, but yes, I can be found there. And how about you, sir?
Auto Obsessive Garage until we rebrand as well. But yeah, on YouTube mostly, just all your rescues, restorations, and reviews. So check it out. But again, guys, thanks again, and we'll see you in a week, maybe a week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Love you. Take care.